What is up, YouTube? And I'm back. It's just gonna be one of those days, eh? Could be one of those days. It's been one of those weeks, actually. I've been working on the front swing arm, and I promised that the front swing arm would be done for episode 12, and I'm gonna keep that promise because this is gonna be episode 11.5. I'm doing that. Yeah, we're going that low. We're up to like what, version 6 of the front swing arm now. Here, I'll show you a picture. Yeah, it's one of those. I just can't figure it out. It is an aesthetics problem, and I hate aesthetics problems because you can't fix them like you can engineering problems. Engineering problems, if you want to fix them, you just get a hammer and you hit it and it's fixed. We're going to try and get into this problem that I'm having, and we're going to break down what I'm trying to do, what I'm ending up with, and how we've gone from having no swing arm on the front to having no swing arm on the front still. It's been a tough week. So let's get into it. So let's start with giving you an idea of how my design process works, how my workflow works. It is very unorthodox. I work on something till I like it. If I don't like it, it ends up here. This is the recycling bin. This is where all the bad stuff goes. I don't bother with naming conventions like version 5.3.21, final 2, final whatever. So many people that do that, unless they are super strict, rigorous, and disciplined. Those kind of naming conventions are awful, especially if you work by yourself. You don't need it. If you're working in groups and teams and stuff, and then you need rigorous naming conventions because you're going to be working with other people and you've got set systems for how things are named, naming conventions, then that works fine. But me, I'm working by myself. I don't need it. So I will make something, and if I don't like it, I delete it and I start again and I name it the same thing. So in here we have a whole bunch of dead, unwanted, discarded, horrible, disgusting, awful, bad ideas, and this is where they go, and this is where they will end up, and I will just do this and they will be gone forever, never to be seen again. Well, except the fact that I've taken screenshots and video recordings of all of it, and you're gonna see it here in the time lapse. So enjoy the time lapse of this stuff. Have fun. Yeah, I am an evil, distorted, broken shell of an individual. It's a good thing I highly edited that down because that was a week's worth of videos and stuff. 12 hours worth of video footage, at least, that I've severely cut down into that short little time-lapse montage for you. So consider yourself lucky I lived that. Now, we need to get into this problem because it's been a week. And if we look at the timeline of how long it took me to design and model this bike, I did it in a month. All of it so far, to the point where it's up to, it's roughly a month's work. And the swing arm has taken now an extra week on that, the front end. So what is going on? Like, it's over a quarter of the design time is just on the front end of the bike. There's something wrong here. And it's, like I said, it's purely an aesthetic problem. I understand the function and the mechanical properties of what I'm trying to create and the principles for its structural integrity and all that needs to be in there. But to get it to look good is another story entirely. And I'm just not hitting that mark. And it's driving me crazy. And like many people, I have a nervous tick and, issues. We all have issues. We are all just very unique people and individuals. So this is one of mine. Like, if something's not working, then I start going a little bit, you know. So I'm going to get into this time lapse now, and I'm going to see about doing a voiceover. I don't really like doing voiceovers because I do everything a little bit ad hoc, a bit ad lib. It's all, there are no scripts here. What you get is what you get. It just comes from here to you. There's no filter. So we'll see how this goes. Leave a comment if it sucks. I hope it doesn't, but leave a comment if it sucks. Just flame me. I want the worst flames in history. There need to be awards for the comments of how bad this next bit's going to be. So let's go over this. So, after all these failures, I've made like 7 different, I've lost count of these swing arms. Now, I needed to just get this done. And I said to myself, right, let's put the aesthetics aside for the moment. Let's just make a functional swing arm and leave it at that. And if we can think of something later on, we can come back and get it done. This is the equivalent of, when you're in high school or you're in university and you got to sit a test, and all the teachers and professors or they tell you, if you're stuck on a question, move on. You can come back to it later, get some other stuff done, don't just sit there stuck on one thing. And it's essentially what we're doing here. So what I've done now is I've gone through and I've created a couple of sketches that just show where the tire will be when you turn the handlebars and whatnot and the tire turns. This just gives me my clearance. I need to be outside of these areas. This is where it needs to go. This is how big it's going to be. You got to make clearance for that tire turning, so it's going to be wide and ugly no matter what you do. And this has been half the issue I've had with the aesthetics, is trying to work out a way to make it look good and still be functional, because it has to hold a certain amount of weight and be able to deal with certain forces. So there's not much you can do about it. You gotta do a certain thing. So just gonna make plain and simple. This is what is the bare minimum of what is required for this to work, and then I will see what I can do to make it look better. So the thing I'm doing here is just going through and creating the profiles of the cross section of the blade, the swing arm member. Now, to get this to work better than the previous ones I've done, I think I was just trying to be too fancy and do too much. It was too complicated and it ended up screwing it up. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the same sketch, just copy paste, and then I just adjust like the thickness and the cross-sectional height of each one of the sections, so that you get that tapered sort of sweep down to the front where it connects to the wheel. And this turned out much better than the previous attempts, because like you could just use the same sketch, so it had a much more unified profile going all the way through.
We have some form of control still, making our constant binary choices and voicing our equally shallow opinions more loudly or quietly. Most people can't even decide what color to wear or which burger to eat. Does it matter, man? Autonomy is an illusion. Autonomy is an illusion.
Damn, I almost don't want to do the voiceover for this section. I just placed this track in the timeline, and it's awesome. I'm loving this track. Anyways, here's where I went and made another mistake. So I wanted to remove some material and try and do the aesthetics thing again, but I should have stuck with what I was just going to do from the start, which was do simple, which is what I've already done at this stage. I've just got this wing arm, it's basic done, but it looks ugly as sin. Man, we can't do that. So I made this mistake of thinking I can do the cutouts myself and work out how I want to go about it. Now, for the most part, from the front to that first bend, it would have worked. So these ones that I'm doing here, where I'm just doing these triangular cutout shapes, that would have generally worked. But it's there at this point where just around where it comes to the bend of the arm, where the forces change from being a linear transfer to being a torsional transfer, and you needed the material there in the bend and in part way through the middle of the swing arm to stop the arm from twisting up. And I didn't stop here. I thought, okay, well, let's just keep adding these cutouts all the way through and keep the look of it uniform. That's just, it wouldn't work. I ended up doing the stress analysis for it, and it just kept twisting no matter what I tried. I tried changing the thickness, the overall, minimum cross section of those cutout sections and stuff like that, and the simulation just kept twisting it out. So I was like, you know what, bugger this. I'm done with trying to do this aesthetic stuff myself. We're going to let it let math sort it out. We'll just use a shape generator to use the systems in the software to do it for me. And I don't normally like using shape generator. A lot of people go, oh yeah, well it uses evolutionary based geometry to work out what's going to be the most efficient and economic solution for your strength to weight ratio. But I find that's the cheats way of doing it, letting a machine do it for you. It's better for you to have that understanding innately yourself, so you can design those principles into the object from the very beginning, and you don't have to then later on go back and change stuff because an algorithm told you, no, this is a better way of doing it. So it's better to learn those things yourself so that you don't have to use an algorithm to do it. But in this case, I've done this now 7 times. I just want to get it done with, so we went and used the shape generator tool, and it actually turned out alright. So you'll see that in a bit when we get to doing the stress analysis stuff.
We like to think we have some form of control still, making our constant binary choices and voicing our equally shallow opinions more loudly or quietly. Most people can't even decide what color to wear or which burger to eat. What does it matter, man? Autonomy is an illusion. Autonomy is an illusion. Autonomy is an illusion.
And this is it. This is the mythical shape generation software algorithm thing that I had the I'd say privilege that when I was younger, I was like 13, 14 or something. No, older than that. I was 15, 16. I was able to do a short apprenticeship as a blacksmith at one of the museums in New Zealand, Motat. And having that hands-on experience with deforming and shaping metals, being able to feel how metal changes and what its ductile properties are with your own hands by hitting it with a hammer and heating it up, and even when it's cold, understanding the properties of metals when it's cold, and tempering and hardening processes and all of the stuff that goes into metallurgy is very, very important. And it's a pity that a lot of people don't have that ability, don't have that opportunity to learn those things. I was thankfully able to do those sort of things. So I've got like a built-in, you could say it's almost like built into my neurological hardware in my brain, that I know how certain metals and that perform under certain stresses and stimuli. So yeah, like it gives me an edge, and I'm thankful for it. But sometimes it lets me down, especially when I'm really annoyed with something. I've been doing it for the past week and I haven't got anywhere. But yeah, you can see here the shape generator said here, cut out these massive triangles, these little bits at the back, leave those areas there in the corners where the bend is, and it worked out fine. That's 500 kilograms. We've done it. Well, sort of. It was a team effort between me and the software. I'd like to thank our sponsors, and I'd like to thank all of the viewers and the people that have stayed with us and supported us through these hard and trying times. It's been really interesting. But yeah, jokes aside, I'm okay with it. It's a swing arm. It's a front end swing arm for front end steering. Only so many different ways you can do it. And apparently 7 was the number that I found, so 7 times the chart. We'll come back and change it later on when I decide what needs changing, but for now that's gonna cover it. We've got good steering angle, we've got good clearances, and off camera I'm just gonna come in and off the back of this I'm going to replace the extension that connects it to the parallelogram and to the swing arm. We don't think we're going to bother with a force multiplier like we did on the front, because it is on a parallelogram, so it's going to have a different kind of movement, so we want slightly softer interaction between the shock. We don't want to be using a force multiplier or a force divider. We want exactly what it's got. So that should do it for this episode, I think. Yeah, we've done all right. It's been a tough week. It's been very trying. I've never been so stumped by a problem before. Actually, that's not true. There's been a few things that I've come across, but nothing that's been as important as this. This has been a project that, and in previous years when I did the Chaos Daily, like I was a bit all over the place. I'd be working on this, and then I'd be working on that, and then that, and I wanted to change that up. I'm focusing on one thing at a time. I'm going to complete it. I'm going to be finishing it. I'm not going to have this moniker of the guy that never finishes anything. He starts a lot of things and does a lot of cool stuff, but none of it ever gets done. We are going to finish this. So I had to power through it. I couldn't just go, all right, well, I'm getting burnt out. I need to take a break and go do something else. No, we focus. We get it done. And that's where we're at. So it's all done now. I'm okay with it. I hope you're okay with it. It's a thing. We'll see you in the next episode, and we're going to start working on the handlebars. They're connecting the handlebars with the push rods all the way down to the steering, so that you turn the handlebars and the wheel turns. We're going to make that. We're going to make a start on that, and we're going to talk about the mechanism that creates that function, how it works, as well as being able to accommodate for the swing arm moving, because it's on a parallelogram. So your push rods that come down to control the front wheel from the handlebars have to have a mechanism in that allows it to change its the forces that you apply, the distance they travel, have to be variable to the swing arm that moves. Yeah, it makes total sense. It's easy. You'll see. That'll be the next episode. Live in Chaos. This has been episode 11.5 of the Cyber Bike project. Leave a like, subscribe, check my Twitter out, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.